and welcome to the 22nd episode of Eye on Hong Kong. This is Harminder.
Hi, this is Key.
And we are sitting on an off-ramp in Admiralty, the heart of the Occupy protests. Now, why are we doing our show here? I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's beautiful weather. It's nice and cool.
And dry.
And dry, so, we're not dying.
And I think it's the best season to visit Hong Kong, actually.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only could you enjoy the nice weather, you can also come to a history-making protest out there. And, well, as we can see, how would you estimate? A couple thousand people right now?
I can't see because a lot of tents here, so I walk in the field.
Could be like 10 people to a tent for all we know. But anyways, we're here to talk about this week's stories, and boy, are there a lot of them. All right, we'll start off with the meeting, finally, a meeting between the government, represented by Carrie Lam. Getting comfortable?
Yeah.
He's lying down on an on-ramp, off-ramp. And Carrie Lam and the students. Now, okay, come on.
What?
You're lying down on your stomach. This is not a photo shoot.
Oh, somebody is taking a picture of us.
Yeah, somebody is taking a
so I had to pose as a supermodel.
Oh, goodness. All right. So there's a meeting that solved nothing.
Right.
I mean, Carrie Lam made two concessions.
What?
If you could call them concessions. Okay. One was they will submit a report to the State Council mentioning about what has happened since the release of the August 31st MPCSC decision on political reform in Hong Kong.
Right.
And the second concession was...
what? I completely forgot.
I mean, see, that's how nonsensical, and it didn't matter because I can't even remember it. But point is that they made... two concessions. Oh, didn't they expect to set up some sort of committee?
Oh, yeah, a platform.
A platform, that's it. To oversee
to discuss
the political reform.
Yeah. And, I mean, regarding the first concessions, I would say, isn't it their duty to do that? I mean, they have to do it regularly to report to Peking, right?
It's not exactly a concession. It's just...
It's their duty.
It's their duty. It's something he probably does every day.
Yeah.
To the CE CY Leung does to the liaison office every day.
And for these...
you know why he wakes up so early and goes to work? Because he's not heading to his office in the morning. He's got to make a detour in Western.
Western?
Where the liaison office is. Right? Get his marching orders for the day, probably. But okay, I can understand. He does need to have the ear, and he needs to listen also from the central government. He is the CE. He is still beholden to
He's a puppet.
Of course. Well, of course he's a puppet, but at the same time, can you really blame him? Because you are chief executive to China. But you should look after the best interests of Hong Kong, which, of course, it doesn't seem that the last three CEs have not been. They're failing in their pledge. I mean, that's how I see it. How do you see it?
I actually think that he take China's interest over the Hong Kong's people's interest in this.
No doubt.
Yeah, so
that's why he's failing in his pledge.
He's placing the one country two systems. He's actually just talking about one country.
They all are.
Never two systems. Or one party, not even one country now.
Yeah. So, I mean, he is failing in that regard. And it's like they don't understand that that's the problem. It's like, no, we're doing everything great for you. Don't you like this integration of the mainland into Hong Kong?
I think they assume that people should welcome the integration with China. But when you look around, if you walk around and ask the protesters, probably most of them, they are not very happy with it.
No, they're not. And I mean, I have absolutely no problem with doing business with China. Absolutely no problem.
You just want money from them.
No, I mean, no. It's just you need trade to have a healthy economy which makes more people prosperous. Somebody could have a great idea that they could sell into China, and it could make them rich from being, poor. I mean, how many success stories have you heard about that? I am open to as many opportunities for people as much as possible. Problem is, when that infringes, are you taking a nap?
No, go on, go on.
If that infringes on our way of life, what we're used to every day,
Someone is talking
Uh,
on the stage.
I think some.
They are actually every night they will have arranged some people to go on stage to give a speech,
Yeah.
and tonight they have a keyboard online as well.
No, I was just trying to hear if it was hostile or if it was friendly.
Nah.
Okay, so, if it infringes on our way of life, if it infringes on our own economy, if we're making, if we have to give up our city space for, somebody else to enjoy, I mean, that's not right. Sure, come and enjoy it, but you cannot overtake it.
Well,
you see what I mean?
Like
our pools.
Inevitably, it seems that they will do it because there are quite a lot of large number of them coming over to Hong Kong. So
1.3 billion. How are you going to compete with that?
exactly. So it's quite impossible that they do it without such an event.
Well, 2003 was the watershed moment where we opened the floodgates to the massive amounts of PRC tourists.
Well, you can't really blame China because at that time Hong Kong people also want some more tourists.
Can I not blame China? Who brought in SARS? Somebody from the mainland.
Right.
It was a conspiracy theorist would have a field day thinking that, they purposely brought in SARS to allow a reason for more mainland integration, but there's absolutely no proof of it. It's a complete jokey theory. But since then, where we welcomed it, but we didn't realize the consequences of it at the time. Now we do, but still, now it's hard to stop what's already started.
At that time, LC Leung did warn Hong Kong people. Oh no, it's not LC Leung. It's
LC Leung.
It's Fanny
Law.
Fanny Law warned Hong Kong people, if you have to open these floodgates, then it's very difficult to close it.
She said
that. I think she said that at that time. So, well, we did open the floodgate, but so now we want to close it. It's rather difficult.
Or at least
to do
control it better. Not totally close it, control it. Like I said, I would be open to a couple of shopping malls right at the border, like Canada and Buffalo. Toronto and Buffalo has it, where Canadians go into Buffalo, shop, go back. They just get their stuff and go. It's not like they come into Buffalo and overtake it. Buffalo's a small town. But still.
You're basically opening a Walmart for them.
Fine.
It's just like opening a very big...
most of them here for shopping anyways. And as the economic numbers show, we're going from high-end luxury goods into more daily necessities. And what better way for daily necessity dispensaries / pharmacies opening in malls and Watsons and Mannings and all of those stores, going there and doing their business there. Then I bet you the amount of people getting into the city would be cut by half.
Okay. But
or you can have Hong Kong style malls in Shenzhen with no controls, or having like Hong Kong business controls in those malls only.
So we are expanding our territory.
If they can expand into us, we can expand into them. I mean, there's so many ideas, but this chief executive doesn't want to entertain it at all because he wants integration. He wants no border eventually.
But isn't it inevitable too? Because after year 2047, then that's the end of the 50-year promise.
And it's also the end of Hong Kong if it's not renewed. If Deng Xiaoping said if you want another 50 years, you can have it, they better hold on. They better hold to that promise.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, of course they're not going to. They don't hold on to any promises. It's like a pay as you go.
Yeah.
We do whatever we want when we see a situation when we can take advantage of it. All right. Moving on from the, go nowhere, a meeting between the students and the government, the result of it is going to be an online vote. I don't know why it's not paper, but an online vote that they're going to have in Admiralty on Sunday, this coming Sunday, to vote to see what to do. What are the options? Stay or leave?
No, the first option is that they will request the government to submit a report with some concrete suggestion
Right.
to China.
Right.
And then the second thing is whether they will set up a platform. Also, it's pretty much in line with the concession that Carrie Lam makes. So it seems that people they're not very happy with this poll.
What are the odds that people are going to accept it?
I think people are still talking about the initial intention why they set up all these tents and occupy all this area. They're talking about true democracy and the abolishment of the constitution,
Functional
constituency.
Yeah.
So the people still asking for the same thing, and they are not asking to set up a platform or asking to submit a report. So quite a lot of people not willing to participate in this online referendum.
And you know, people are saying that Occupy is losing support, but then you have a poll by Chinese U that said that support for Occupy has actually increased.
It's the first time that it's surpassed the supporter of the anti-Occupy.
Right. It's actually 38% for and 35% against.
Yes.
So I think the tear gas and some of the police brutality that's been going on has really galvanized people into supporting this movement. But at the same time, I still sit on the suggestion that it's time to consolidate into Admiralty and let people have Mong Kok again and Causeway Bay. And because Mong Kok is a boiling pot ready to explode because of triad links, coming in there, and people trying to set people on fire, people trying to set the support stations on fire, people throwing oil and feces off of buildings onto protesters.
Yeah.
All this stuff. I mean, that is the most volatile place. You're going up against a triad stronghold of Mong Kok.
I mean, it's
It's ballsy, but it's also dangerous.
I mean, after so many days, like 3 weeks, right? And people trying to protect their occupied area in Mong Kok, they fight against the police, the triad, the Peking people, and now they're coming to fighting against some, paid thug from mainland China as well. And it's very difficult to ask them to give it up after all these fights, though.
I understand that they've been through a lot, but at the same time, I don't know. It just cannot go on forever. It would actually make them look politically. It would make them look better if they said, "Hong Kong people, we return the streets to you, not the government or the police, but to you. Thank you for putting up with us. We are consolidating into Admiralty, and we will continue our struggle there."
I do not think that they will be able to integrate with the Admiralty because the people there are quite different in Mong Kok.
I understand. They're more radical.
Admiralty here is more like a middle class,
intellectual, scholarly. I understand.
Quite polite here, and you will be quite.
Well, I went through Mong Kok. It was very, very polite.
They are, but at the same time, if someone take on them, they will revenge.
Somebody was there when I went with Evan Fowler, who's been on our show, and this guy comes out of nowhere, starts an argument, but he didn't swear or anything, but the protesters were like, boo, and eventually they're like, Sao Kong, go, finish work, right? If you're a paid thug, you've done your work, go home, right?
Or they singing the happy birthday song.
Or they sing the happy birthday song if they're really unruly, right? But, I get your point. But
it's quite, Causeway Bay, do you remember?
Causeway Bay
is still occupied.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's never in the news, you notice?
Exactly.
It's there. It's just like the forgotten occupied.
Maybe they should take your advice saying that
and consolidate into here.
Causeway Bay to MOT.
I mean, I don't see a strategic point. I mean, at least it's like we've occupied the main choke point on Hong Kong Island and main choke point in Kowloon side. Causeway Bay is just there.
But but
Maybe it's just free rent. They're like, oh, I cut my rental contract. I'm going to stay out here for as long as I can and save some money.
But funny thing is that the Hysan Place in Causeway Bay,
Yeah.
the property management saying that the Occupy Central didn't affect the rent.
Yeah, because
So
people were walking around. People are actually enjoying the open space.
Yeah,
I walked through Nathan Road. It was actually really nice.
I do agree. I do
Yeah.
agree. I love it too.
It was nice and open. I didn't have to like compete with people slower than me, ahead of me, trying to get
Yeah.
around them and stuff. It was like, yeah, it was a nice stroll. It was nice. Okay, moving on. CY Leung is suddenly on a PR campaign where he's actually opening his mouth to the media, and I wish he wouldn't, because first he was on with Michael Chugani out of nowhere on Newsline, and I was shocked that he was on. I didn't like the dodging of a lot of the questions, and I didn't like Michael Chugani not grilling him more when he would dodge questions. I mean, you got to grill the guy. I've noticed CY Leung, when he's asked a question, he has like these prepared remarks that he always refers to. You say, look, Mr. Chief Executive, that is not what I asked you. My question is this, and that is not the correct answer to it. Not the correct answer. I mean, that has nothing to do, that's irrelevant to my question. So, sir, please... But no, Chugani seems to be starstruck that he's actually sitting next to CY Leung. Huh?
Just let him by and answer it.
I don't care if it's a half an hour show. You can edit it later. Cut out the nonsense that he was spewing and get to the meat and potatoes of the question.
Well,
Fortunately, he doesn't. It's ATV as well.
Yeah,
Who holds your freaking license? The government. All right, so I got nothing out of that interview, to be honest. It was just the same old, same old. But it was interesting that when he gave an interview with international media, of all people, he said that universal suffrage to the masses cannot be given where they nominate their own candidates, because majority of the people here are living on incomes below 1,800 US a month. What is that, 13,000?
14,000
something like that, Hong Kong dollars. And they would, as a majority, put in their candidate into the CE and win. And then you would have a welfare state. But he didn't say it like that. He's like, well, if it's a numbers game, that's what would happen. You couldn't have poor people over the majority overruling the tycoon elite that supposedly own the economy. That is such nonsense, because the tycoon elite only own 10% of this economy. 90% is SMEs. I've said that again and again. They are the ones that run the economy. The tycoon elite just have the most money, and they are more integrated into the mainland and around the world than they are in the city. So the real economic elite, the SMEs that are actually here, spend their money here, and are doing most of their business here, not outside.
Right.
As a politician, you don't freaking say that. Poor people are too stupid to know what to do.
I thought he should have someone to do the PR or write the speech.
That's
for him.
why he doesn't do interviews, I think, because he's such a moron when it comes to what he's saying.
At least he's true to himself.
Well, true. He is saying what is in his heart. But come on, you're a politician. You don't do that. Even if you are, look, I understand where he's coming from. That a Lee Chuk-yun, a Fernando Cheung, a Leung Kwok-hong, if he was voted in CE, would probably have more socialist welfare state programs that could get this city into a deficit and actually kill the golden goose. I understand that. It's dangerous. But when you teach people that is not what you want a real capitalism. You don't want cronyism. You want a competition law that stops these duopolies and monopolies. Real fair system that everybody plays on the same rules, not they play by one set of rules, we play by another, and they get richer, we get poorer.
I do not agree that even if someone really elected Leung Kwok-hong, long hair, or Lee Chuk-yun, I mean, it's a result of the democracy then.
I understand.
People should respect it. And then I
would.
And after some years, if they really screw up, then we can vote another one.
Right.
This is the real essence of democracy, I think.
But what the problem becomes is that usually there's a continuity of government. Whatever the last administration did is usually not taken away by the next one. Usually continues, and then we go into a steady state of France.
Wow.
That's what happens. You end up with a France where you're taxing people who make 1 million euros a year 100% in taxes.
Well, I
That's
think
Reuters, by the way. I'm not making that up.
Well, I mean, even
Bloomberg.
so, then people should still accept such a result.
I understand. Then you get into the information aspect and teach people why that is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Just because teach people how to fish instead of giving them a fish.
Okay.
That's how I would go. So I would respect the vote, but at the same time, I know where he's coming from, but it's wrong. All right, we'll move on now to a little bit of a lighter note. We had Grammy Award-winning artist Kenny G taking a stroll apparently through Occupy.
He called it innocent walk.
An innocent walk. I mean, Hong Kong is almost 1,100 square kilometers, and he just happened to choose the Occupy area of Admiralty.
I think he was like, okay, someone's here having camping, so I come here to have a walk.
Yeah, an urban
and
camp
someone
zone.
giving me a free bottle of water, so I take it. And then some food, free food,
some people just want to take my picture. Why not?
Yes,
I'll be a nice host.
And then I also so happen to standing in front of something called Support Democracy, so I just take a picture. And then I also like to upload selfie to my Twitter account, so I upload it to the Twitter account.
Right.
So everybody does the same thing. Why you pick on Kenny G?
Why do I pick on Kenny G? Well, apparently he also said, I support you to the protesters. And he says, I hope you guys win eventually. And he also said, we take democracy for granted in the United States. So I hope you guys...
it's hearsay. It's just a protester framing him.
Then the Chinese Foreign Ministry and that stone-faced woman comes out and basically warns him that, don't publicly support them. You have a lot of fans in China, and we control your entertainment license when you come here. Then he gets on Twitter and says, oh, no, I don't support them. I don't support them at all. I would just want peace.
And I was used by someone.
and I just want peace for China. I love China. I love China. Put my money bag over there. And that he completely 180'd himself. And that's my problem. Own up, man up. Man up to what you did. Do not do a 180 and say, whoops, I shouldn't have done that and I don't support them. Give me money. All right? That is pathetic what he did.
I mean, when I first saw his picture from Twitter, then I just scrolled down his tweets, and then I found a picture of him with Jackie Chan, and then I knew that there must be something behind these guys. I mean, if you can always see someone from his friend. So, the same kind of people.
Jackie CCP Chan, as everybody knows, has been a staunch supporter of the Communist Party. And he's been bad-mouthing Hong Kong for years now because we protest. We like to have a freedom of speech. He's made all his money here. He's made all his money in the United States, and then he has the audacity to go into China through his now that he can't move like he used to. He's like, well, what am I going to do for the last 50 years? Oh, I know. I'll become a CCP minion. And, then his son gets arrested. So, I don't know if that's irony. Anyways, so, I nominate him for the Shame on You award.
Kenny G or Jackie Chan?
No, Kenny G. Jackie Chan is forever...
he has his time.
He has a lifetime achievement award from us.
Okay.
One day we might give that out. And... I nominate him for the Shame on You award because Kenny G, come on, man.
Well, he's just a musician.
I know he's just a musician, but still, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, of course, talking about these artists, there are some other international artists that would expressly support Hong Kong as well. And, of course, the local artists in Hong Kong, some of them have expressly supported the movement, like Dennis Ho, Anthony Wong, and another Anthony Wong, and Anthony Wong, and Anthony
Chapman
Wong.
Toe.
Yeah, Chapman Toe, and Anthony Wong.
They all look... You racist! They all don't look the same. Have the same
really,
name.
I
know there's two Anthony Wongs. I know. But And even a Japanese artist, I'm sorry, his name eludes me right now. He also openly supported
I think
Hong
it's
Kongers. I think he's getting
Uichi.
cancer treatment or something right now in the States.
In New York.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. I mean, these people, and then of course you got the state media in the mainland coming out and saying, "Hey, we fed you.
Yeah.
How dare you bite the hand that feeds you?" And you know, we're your mother. We give you mother's milk money. And they're like, "We don't need your money.
Yeah.
We got a successful career in Hong Kong and Taiwan. We don't need it."
I think Denise Ho said on her Facebook that so boring again and again and again. Every time it's like that, they say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, come on. If all you care about is dollars and cents, then that matters. But trust me, just having a good, successful career in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and internationally, because they do go on tours in the large Chinese communities in like Canada and United States and Australia, they make lots of money like that too. So they're not poor.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination.
And Denise Ho and Anthony Wong, they of course they made a Cantonese pop song and to support this umbrella revolution and
movement.
So actually we can play it in our show because it's not copyrighted.
Really?
It's CC is a.
Nobody would understand in our audience unless they were Cantonese speakers.
Learn some Cantonese.
I'm not saying myself. I mean, like the
You know how to say 香港人.
香港人.
Yeah.
Gay ho. Okay. So they're not worried about that. And, it's just nonsense. So let's move on to the pro-democracy movement here. We got a very interesting thing that happened this week.
Right.
Lion Rock is a very near and dear monument to the people of Hong Kong because it kind of represents Hong Kong's perseverance, hard work. Even through tough times, people have said we have come together and we still break through all our issues that we've had throughout the decades of, 1.5 centuries of Hong Kong being, something. Lion Rock, the mountain, the hill, whatever you want to call it, is very significant. So what did the very creative protesters of Occupy Central and the Umbrella movement did?
Revolution.
They hung a giant banner right outside on the face of the Lion Rock. Hikers went up there, and mountain climbers rappelled down and actually, hung that banner by securing it into the rock face.
After that, I was thinking that what will these pro-Peking people do? Because usually they would do the same thing to have this counter effect of to set off this effect of this.
And what was your idea?
Occupy. I thought they would have a very long banner over the peak, so that
that'd be a one step over.
Or put
Robert Chow likes to do numbers games, so maybe that's what he would have done with this.
Or put some banner on this giant Buddha thing.
The giant Buddha.
Yeah, right.
Where his hand is, that's where you would put it up.
So, and I don't know, but sometimes when you read from the Facebook from these blue ribbon people represent that they support the government.
Red Guard.
Yeah, the Neo Red Guard. And then they have these, I don't know whether they're really stupid or not, because a lot of people like to Photoshop the pictures on the internet, and then they put a picture of someone climbing the rock, but actually that guy was from the TV drama in Hong Kong, and then they posted on Facebook saying that we found the criminal who tried to ruin Lion Rock, and then they named it and they said, I saw that guy in Mong Kok, he's a riot.
These people are morons.
They're so stupid.
They think people will believe anything they put up.
And then have you seen this picture of Xi Jinping, and he was holding the umbrella
with his pant legs up because it sudden downpour. He was visiting a port or something.
And then someone photoshopped that picture to the line on the top of the Lion Rock, and then
and also here in Admiralty.
Yeah, everywhere.
He was just standing around on. I think this ramp too.
Yeah,
he's standing around with his. They colored the umbrella yellow
and
after.
when people put it on top of the Lion Rock, and then some blue ribbon people on Facebook saying that, oh, see that guy, the police should arrest him. And should, he's a...
I'll agree to that.
I totally agree with that. I mean, come on, you guys, are you so ignorant that you didn't read the news that that's the picture of your CGP?
These people are... I told you that most of these people that are anti are either over 50...
Or they're retarded.
Or they... The politically correct term is mentally challenged.
Okay.
But I would say at least they barely have an IQ above room temperature. And we move on to, let's see. The Pandems also said we're going to do our own little disobedience. And what happened this week was they were going to discuss this useless technology bureau that the government wants to start. Oh, yeah, because government always does great, don't they, with their bureaus. And you need at least 35 people in the chamber to have a chamber meeting.
Right.
9 a.m. is when they started the meeting on this past Wednesday. Well, only about 30 some odd people were there.
34.
34. Well, 34 eventually ended up. What happened was the meeting started, either Ray Chan or Albert Chan.
Ray Chan
or Albert Chan. No, they weren't there. Sorry. Somebody called a quorum call.
That's Gary Fan.
Gary Fan from the Neo-Democrats. He got up immediately as it started and had a quorum call. Well, okay, so you need 12 minutes. You got 12 minutes to have a quorum call?
15, I think. It's 12?
I think it's 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I watch the debate, sometimes they have the endless quorum calls. Now, I check the timer. And, by the end of the 12 minutes, only 34 members were there. And number 35, a DAB member, ran in seconds after the end of the quorum call. And he actually complained, saying, I had to walk here because traffic was so bad because of Occupy. And Jung Yak Singh, Jasper Jung, the president, with the most sour look on his face, had to adjourn the meeting and just said, screw it, the whole damn thing is canceled today. And... People Power's Albert Chan, Ray Chan were actually in the building, heard the quorum call, and said, nah, we're having breakfast. I'm enjoying my breakfast. So they purposely ignored the quorum call, and of course, Jasper Zhang said, well, it is your duty to show up. That's what you're hired for. Well, it's just a standard line. It's no big deal. And that DAB guy that ran in at the last minute was like, oh, I never walk. Jasper Zhang's like, you know that there's Occupy. Leave a little earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Even he was being reasonable. He got there. He's 70 years old and he got there on time.
I can so imagine how Ray Chan and Albert Chan having to breakfast slowly. And enjoying it. Oh, they're playing our music. Ding, ding. Oh, I love this song. And that's what they said. They expect this. Unless we get some real concrete steps, get ready for endless, what would I say, gridlock in LegCo, where unprecedented bills are now being delayed. I got no problem with it, and the government should do the right thing and move up the livelihood stuff, so that doesn't stop. But of course, the government doesn't want to lose face and will not move that stuff up, and just wants to go line by line until the last minute. That's when they will suddenly throw it up in the queue before the next, end of the LegCo session. All right. Liberal Party's James Tian has asked CY Leung to resign again. He said that citizens are ignoring court injunctions and Pan-Democrats are staging their non-cooperation movement. How is he going to govern in the remaining 3 years of his term? Even the Legislative Council has become a rubbish council now. There is nothing CY Leung can do now should he not consider tendering his resignation to the central government. And I agree. He's really don't like him.
Who?
From the very beginning, I mean the Liberal Party.
Oh, the Liberal Party is the only pro-establishment party that hardcore supported Henry Tang.
Yeah. Because of Henry Tang.
And because of that, CY Leung has snubbed them for events. He sends in like third-rate ministers to their fundraisers like nobody's heard of to the Liberal Party. So Liberal Party's sticking it to him back. I love politics. And I understand. But he also makes a good point. LegCo's become ungovernable. Nobody likes you. only your moron supporters that would, if you suddenly got in the middle of chambers and started cussing everybody out and saying poor people are too stupid to vote for the right person, their supporters would still say CY Leung, for life.
I think a few days ago, CY Leung also said that challenging me or challenging PLC wouldn't solve the problem. And I think that is the reason why people want real democracy, because no matter what we do, you're still here.
It's a gesture of, even though we know you're a puppet and the next guy's not going to be any better, it might be just Carrie Lam that goes through the entire term, for the rest of his term. It's just a gesture of, you are so bad, we just want you gone. We don't want you to see your face on TV anymore.
I mean, he's so
Go into economic exile like Donald Jung.
He's so arrogant to make such a statement, say that, even you challenge me, I will be still here. And I think he really should be the father of democracy in Hong Kong, because he really makes everybody united and everybody learning what
against
is democracy. I mean, if he didn't talk about this kind of thing, like I will still be here, or people having the salary under 14,000 Hong Kong dollars, they shouldn't have the right to vote, and then people wouldn't have such an awakening moment that democracy is really that important because we don't want you here, CY Leung.
That's right. So, his resignation would actually be a big step towards. I think his resignation would just have everybody pack him and leave, and then we'll deal with Carrie Lam. And to be honest, as much as she's a human recorder at times, I'll deal with her right now than him, because he's a terrible politician. She has some skill. He has none. You don't think so?
I do think that she probably would be better. Of course, anyone would be better than CY Leung anyway. I would be better too. Maybe I should nominate myself. And But I think Carrie Lam today,
I'd vote for you.
Called the police and saying that someone surrounded her house in the Peak. And then when the police came
Who was it? The gardener?
Probably is Kenny G.
Kenny G looking for his money bag. Yeah.
And then the police went to the house in the Peak and then found no one. I think she probably having
hallucinating.
Probably.
Probably not having.
I see that.
They're probably having sleepless nights now, thinking somebody's outside, ready to stab them.
Probably.
With an umbrella. And all the doom and gloom that all these pro-establishment people have been talking about, Hong Kong's economy is collapsing, our tourist numbers are down, all this stuff. Well, in the South China Morning Post today, here's the headline. Mainland Chinese groups in Hong Kong, up 90% despite mass protests. Completely contradicting all these Greg So and John Jung and all these people that are saying that, we're dying, the stock market's up. Everything's fine. It's just certain areas I can understand. If you have a shop front, you might be suffering a little.
Yep.
But even the Occupy protests, if you're nice and quiet, they're actually going to you to shop and keeping up your business. So from the Post, the number of mainland group tours to Hong Kong has almost doubled despite the Occupy protests that are affecting business and transport. From October 1st to 22nd, it includes the Golden Week, an average of 380 tour groups visited the city per day, up 90% from the same time last year. Travel Industry Council data.
Of course,
showed.
the government now saying that we have to look at long term, because the Chinese tourists, they couldn't cancel the tour immediately,
right?
And so we have to look maybe 1 month or more, 2 more months to see whether the Occupy really affected.
Nonsense.
I don't agree.
That's complete nonsense.
Because if China really shut down the tourists, then they should have done it already. I mean,
right? They did have this decree where they were saying, don't issue visas to Hong Kong, no more tour groups, whatever. But it wasn't like a hardcore, directive from the party. It was just a suggestion.
Right.
And people are all ignoring it.
Yeah.
And so that's all nonsense. There was an interesting article out of the Post, and I did want to touch up on this. It was called called Generation O, Hong Kongers increasingly overstressed, overworked, overwhelmed. Which is true. Our generation, 80s, 1980s and ahead, are overstressed, overworked. And we're not complaining. We don't mind that. But our wages are stagnant. The property prices are unreachable. We're not moving up in the corporate ladder, social ladder anymore, like our parents did, all because of an unbalanced economy, and it's now completely unfair where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
Yeah.
As much as I'm against a minimum wage in a free market and a real capitalist system, you need it. Because when it's fixed like it and rigged like it is, you need it. Otherwise, people will be dying.
I agree.
So that's why we need it, and I understand. Of course, if we had a real capitalist system, do away with it. We don't have it. So, I'm sick of these older generation that don't support Occupy saying just work hard and you move your way up. Now for a very small amount of people. It wasn't like before where that would be enough to get you going higher.
People saying that
in the social ladder.
People say that this umbrella revolution actually is the fight between the young people and the older generation. And I actually think now is more like a fight between whether you have sympathy, whether you have consciousness, whether
That's one aspect of it, but it is also because the 20-somethings, 30-somethings here are frustrated with the way they see their future going.
Or they have nothing to lose. That's why they can
At
fight.
This point, yeah.
But for the older people, they have everything to lose. And I actually have heard some older people saying that I call them old people now, and they say that they are the majority of Hong Kong because they are the baby boomers here.
True.
And they should have the largest voice here.
Wrong.
Why?
Because in the next 30 years,
they will be in the convent.
They'll be 6 feet under, or
burning in hell,
or being cremated in Hung Ham or North Point, and in a columbarium, resting away. And that's not a knock on the older generation. The point is that your generation that made all the money but was asleep at the wheel socially because you said, I'm not going to get involved. That's for the politicians. It's not for me. I just want to make money. Well, your making money has caused all this social unrest because people do see their future being squandered away for money. People are more socially conscious now because what's the point of having all this money when you see an income disparity that's getting wider and wider? I don't like it. I hate it. I'm a staunch capitalist, okay? I love capitalism, but I absolutely hate the way it's set up right now where I see people just not being able to move up in the ladder because the system is freaking rigged. And democracy is not a panacea, like I've said before. It is not going to fix our problems.
Right.
But people do see it as a hope, as a step towards maybe it can be fixed.
I think it's not fixing the problem. It's more like a more fair play. So
yeah.
So
there's
people
no fair
will
play.
accept it. So, but now he's like, even with some people who growing up in my company, actually, one of the directors saying something like, now in the old time in the 80s, he doesn't really have to work. He didn't really have to work because
opportunity was everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. He just sit there and then people will come to him and then they have to do everything. He actually recognizes that the time now for young people is even tougher.
Right.
Because people have to fight for it. So much competition here.
Right.
And from China, from the world, from everywhere, you
right.
have to really go out to look for it.
Right.
Then he said, so you guys have to work overtime.
Basically, that's what we're doing. We're working overtime, but not receiving the same type of rewards that people who worked overtime before did. We're working overtime just to get by, and that is not right. Okay? That is not right. That is unfair. I love how this government keeps saying, like CY Leung says, the poor people would turn it into a social welfare state if we let them rule the city. What about all the corporate welfare that's being received by
Right.
all these companies, by a dollar peg, by low interest rates, by getting all these concessions through taxation and everything, offshoring? What about that what about that welfare? No. That doesn't count. That's not welfare. And nobody in Legco talks about this. What are these pandems doing sometimes? This is such simple stuff. I'm not an economist, but I know where it's all going. Freaking pandems are too busy. I'm sorry, but they're too busy posing for the camera, putting up on their Facebook, oh, look, I was on BBC today. Too busy making speeches that go nowhere and just ripping on CY Leung, but not ripping on the issues around it. And too busy throwing stuff at him to get the opportunity to be in the paper. Stop it. Call them out on the problems that are happening. Nobody is doing it. And that frustrates me so much. I just wish somebody would get in there and do it. But,
Well,
wishful thinking.
well. I mean, the only thing that I have to say about this legislature for this umbrella revolution is that they actually keep quite low profile and they don't.
I know why, though.
Well, I think that the reason why because they don't want to overtake the. They couldn't have the students always I mean they're
De
like
facto
angels.
leaders.
And now, if they coming out for the legislator coming out to take over the protest, then people will say that they're trying to gain more political.
That's
benefits.
one reason. The other reason I think is that one, they don't want to be a target for violence if they stick around too long. Two,
I thought they liked it.
Two, by being there permanently a lot, you could be one of the people arrested. And if you're thrown in jail for over a month, that's grounds to get you out of Legco as well.
I think they could only if you are in jail for
30 days.
30 days, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think.
Well, what if
This
it happens?
will,
What if
right?
it happens? It could
It's
happen.
a first-time offender. Obviously, most of them are first-time offender except long hair. Probably they
Yeah.
will just get
He's the only guy that has
probably.
the balls to do it. And I'll give him the credit for that, for having the balls to do it, because it's Leung Kwak Hong. I don't like his philosophies, but I do give him credit for standing up for what's right a lot of the
I
times.
like him.
Yeah, I know you do. I forgot to mention the banner that they unfurled on Lion Rock was removed today
Yep.
by the government.
Yep. Very quick.
Very
but
quickly.
they never removed these political banner by these poll-picking people in the staff area.
The illegal ones?
Yeah, the illegal one. They
Yeah.
never removed it, but
But Falun Gong puts up an illegal one, it's gone by the next day, and then you get a ticket by the FEHD.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. Selective enforcement, that's a big problem.
obviously.
Oh, somebody's speaking in English.
Yeah.
I wonder who that is.
I have no idea. It's not keep off online.
No, it's
Obviously.
not, obviously. But, yeah. So we're going to end the show here a little early, I know, but those were the stories of the week. And Occupy still going. And,
It's a month already.
it's a month now, yeah.
Yeah, starting from the school strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a month. It's still going pretty strong. It's still cool to sit on an on-ramp. I mean, how often are we going to do this in the future? We may never do this again.
But come join us and buy a tent.
Here?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a tent over there with the
I
civic
can't
party.
believe you have a tent right here.
Yeah, over
Can
there.
I sleep in your tent?
No, you're too big. I do share, by the way. Before I had another
I just
one.
got insulted.
Yeah. So, I shouldn't. Oh, I should selfie incriminate myself.
Beep that wrong.
No, I just accidentally have an innocent sleep here.
Oh, yeah, no, you just happen to see a tent.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, it's empty. Well,
tired.
I'm tired. I'll take a nap. And it just happens to be a long sleep.
And I took a picture and I posted it on Facebook and tell the world about that.
Kenny G did it too,
Yeah.
but he wasn't there.
He's actually a good guy, I tell you. So don't give him the shame on you tag, because he's actually provide a very valid defense to everyone here. We all have an innocent walk here. It's a valid defense.
That's true. That is true. But who else do we nominate?
Oh. Well, I actually would nominate CY Leung.
Oh, come on. That's too easy.
Too boring, right?
That's like a Lifetime Achievement Award
Hmm.
for him. Every show, every day, every moment.
Well, so Kenny G probably is the one.
Yeah,
this-
Kenny
this
G,
week.
you have just received the
Shame. Shame on you.
award. And stick it in your saxophone.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the end of the show. Please like us on Facebook, facebook.com/IonHKPod. Follow us on Twitter at IonHKPod. And subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/IonHK. No pod on that. And finally, there's... subscribe on iTunes. You just search Ion Hong Kong. And, like I said, it's very difficult to get guests. We've tried several times. Most have said this is a very busy time and, with Occupy. But they're happy to go on Bloomberg or BBC and stay there. And when the interview is over, you look at their faces like, that's it? Can I keep talking? I like being on TV. Anyways, we'll try to get somebody, I promise, somebody
Right.
on next week's show. We'll be in studio. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.